Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Shadowverse. So, things have changed since the last recording in the sense that the things have kind of rolled over and Fortune's Hand is now on its way out, and they've introduced some crossover that you can buy in the shop for code GIOS, which was supposed to be pronounced code gas, but uh, even I haven't heard anybody with a Japanese accent really pronounce it that way. Um, uh, particularly in the West. Code Geass, if you're not familiar with it, was an anime that came out in like the 90s and has had a bit of a resurgence and come back into the picture. I couldn't tell you for certain if I absolutely know who Jeremiah is, for instance. I'm fairly certain I know who Charles is. Callan and Lelouch is basically the protagonist, where Jinki, I maybe roughly remember him, but Cornelia, I'm not 100% sure. Suzaku is also kind of an important character, and Cece's kind of an important character. You'd think that she would be the most important character, but really she kind of doesn't do anything in the story. I'm not going to bother to tell the whole story, but I will say there is an interesting issue, certainly, where Code Geass, episode to episode, particularly in the first few episodes of the first season, was just a mecha anime fighting episode of the week series show, and then later on around the second episode it became more of a slice of life, almost high school comedy show, and at the very end it kind of has the big resolution of everything that you generally would attribute to Code Geass, where it's a person, Lelouch, who is manipulating the political affairs of the world so that he will become the emperor and in charge. And that's a very big story that actually doesn't get touched on in a lot of the individual episodes. It kind of has the exact opposite problem that I would say Death Note has, where Death Note, every episode kinda is centered around what Light will do, the main character in Death Note, and his plans and plots, except for maybe very late in the final season when the show kind of focuses on some other characters for a couple episodes. But generally speaking, I would say the vast majority of episodes in Death Note very much focused around the central plot. Code Geass very much not centered around the central plot. They're interesting little antitheticals, not in their narratives, but in how they were structurally designed. I would also say that Code Geass ends very well, at least the original show did, on a big bang, where Death Note kind of ends on a whimper, in my opinion, and could have been done that. Of course, now I'm reviewing old anime shows and not talking about the game. The other thing that's new is they have a deal to buy 10 packs of the Fortune's Hand expansion for 1,000 crystals. Notice I still don't have 1,000 crystals, but they haven't added any new expansion. So I guess maybe there's either anywhere between 6 days to a month in which we have before the next expansion comes out, which kind of sucks because it means I more than likely will skip over Fortune's Hand and put the vast majority of any gold I've earned into whatever the next expansion is. And then I either accomplished the daily missions, except for this one, which I am just not getting this one done at all. And this one is not changing at all. I either accomplished them or they just disappeared. I did reach level 10 in Portalcraft, so I can claim that for another 20 rupees. Let's get back to the solo mode. Now, I have done this in this, and I had speculated that in the challenges they might give you a battle against Nexus where she has like 60 health. That is not the case. She just has a resonance deck that's fairly well designed and fairly difficult. It took a lot of time. I would say maybe 4 to 6 hours to get all of this done. So I may really just hit a point where I can't get any of the gameplay done, and I may just hit a point where I say, well, forget it, I'll just go through the story and not get all the gameplay through. There was a point when we were fighting the Mega Shade, which was the really, really big one, where he didn't have a character class at all, which was kind of interesting. See, and there might be a tie-in with Lelouch for Chapter 5 or Chapter 6. I don't think that's the case, but Code Geass is subtitled something along the lines of Lelouch of the Rebellion, or the Revolution or Rebellion of Lelouch, or something like that. But yeah, we might hit a point where we straight up are just going to look at the story and not try to get any of the gameplay done. The one thing that's failing here as I'm trying to ramp up and learn how to play this game is I'm not really ramping up and learning how to play this game as well as I should be. So as a main story kind of tutorial element, it's kind of failing miserably in that part. See, Arista and the others break free of the dreams created by Nexus, where all their desires are met. Back in reality, they met Yuan, a warrior from another world. They learn that Nexus is a keeper and a being that can remake worlds. To save their own realm, which now slumbers in the keeper's dreams, Arista and her companions battle Nexus. Just as they're about to grasp victory, Nexus escapes. The group sets off in pursuit and crosses to another world. Okay. And I hate to do this, but I'm going to pause the video and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So, yeah, let's see where the Guild War takes us. Although it does seem fairly obvious that, like, the Guild War should be, should just be a continuation of the story, and so I don't know where the Guild War is going to come about unless they just teleport to a different universe and there's a Guild War happening in that different universe. I'm also hoping that we see maybe 4 chapters at most in this, and we won't have to actually play any kind of game. Seems like we're starting, if I was to guess, in a different place that honestly, since I can't really drag around and can only see small bits of smoke going through, seems to indicate to me that this very well is just like one big capital city. Okay. Let's see what they have to say. Our hopes are that this is also another step up in quality as far as character development and writing, so we don't run into almost any situation where we're just getting things repeated to us, or we're just getting like pointless lines of dialogue that is just there to either put people to fight each other or point people to fight somebody else. Now this voice that we heard there that said Purgation implies to me that we might be in a different world with a different keeper, and this is the keeper of Purgation. Which Purgation means what, really? Like purging all life from this planet, compared to Nexus, who was the keeper of Serenity, who was destroying all life. Like, it doesn't really make sense. Purgation almost implies that this keeper is going to show up and have like one side try to purge the world of another side and split the two teams against each other, which would be a good tactical move, certainly, to kind of have like a holy war style crusade to weaken numbers on both sides. Race across this dimensions and arrives in an unknown land where the mysterious life form appears before her. The novelty of her surroundings forces Arissa to accept that she's not home anymore. Oops. Oh. While we're here, I also should mention that in the previous chapter, when you were able to select from any of the hero classes except for Yuan's class, it just had a long list of all the recommended decks. So you would just pick a deck at that point, and that would be that. So yeah, we never got to play with multiple decks or play with different decks based on by a different leader.
Is this a town? But there's water everywhere.
So apparently there's no water towns or water-based towns in her original world.
It's jiggling. It's moving. I think it's alive.
So it seems like they are going to probably be teleported to different places in the same world. Otherwise, the story is just going to get really, really weird if they try to tell 8 separate stories
I got separated from them.
in 8 separate worlds.
Dive through the gate. Will we all be together in another world?
We never saw this cutscene.
As long as nothing interferes.
I don't think.
Let's go.
I wonder if I got sent to a different world all by myself.
Really, no need for a flashback there. They're too proud of their flashback filter.
Do you know where everyone is?
One assumes that they all speak the same answer, speak the same language.
Oh, watch out!
Okay.
Huh?
We have a new
Sorry, that
anime girl.
bomb could really hurt you. You should really stand.
And it's like, again, still just way too much fashion. And so now are we just gonna fight a bunch of water elementals?
I'll take care of this. So just
instead of shades? If that's the case, in all fairness, I'll say at least these water elementals are better drawn than the shades were.
I don't really get this, but I can fight.
Can she fight?
This thing won't listen
Because
to calm down, will it?
Yuan's magic was weakened when he came to a different world. So I wouldn't be surprised if her magic ends up being weakened. Yep, and there was no tutorial battle, which is good.
That poor little thing. You dispatched that magical life form with such ease. I apologize for being unable to help.
Yeah, it's just
You weren't wounded, were you?
way too much detail.
Oh, no, I'm totally fine.
Like, and as for all we know, this character shows up just for this chapter or just for this section of this chapter.
Pardon, but it's just that, well, you dressed so peculiarly. Huh?
Which it's also worth mentioning that
It's
Shadowverse themselves are not
some sort of weirdo.
labeling things well in English, because they're labeling each of the episodes as a chapter when they should be labeled as episodes. But then there are 12 chapters that are labeled as chapters inside each chapter, which doesn't work well.
The Guild of Knights. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
And what's interesting here is, unless we unlock this character as a leader that you can change the artwork for.
It can feel good to have a magical life form attack you as soon as you arrive in this land.
So,
no, it's fine.
Yeah, she might be an alternate skin for Erica. It would be kind of weird if she wasn't.
Thank you very much for your help.
No, I really didn't do anything.
Arisa, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to suggest something in the way of thanks and an apology.
Suggest something?
Assuming, of course, that you have no objections, I'd like to show you around this area.
Whoa, that would be great, but I really don't want to bother you.
To assist travelers from other lands is another one of our roles in the Order of Blade Rights. Worry not.
Oh, okay.
This would be funny if she walks her into a jail cell
I don't know much about this world.
and
I guess I'll go
leads her
along with
into like an ambush.
All right then. Please, show me around.
Very well. In that case, please follow after me. Ah, yes. I'd forgotten to say something very important. Welcome, Arisa, to the land of Isunia, home of shimmering dew and guilds.
And
where
like
intrepid
most
blades
Japanese
protect you.
stories, they love to throw in the key phrases and proper nouns that maybe mean something in Japanese, but when they get localized mean basically nothing to English-speaking people. Alright, so now we've got a full look at the world. And you know what this is? If I am not incorrect, this feels like a direct homage / complete copyright infringing ripoff of the major city in the Dinotopia book series, which was on a waterfall and had water going through all of it. I mean, in all fairness, this is really nice architecture. What if Venice, with its canals, was built at the top of a waterfall? That's an interesting idea, but there are practical reasons why that does not happen. A, it would be incredibly difficult to build. You'd have to basically divert the waterfall. And B, whenever there was heavy rain anywhere that flowed into the higher parts of the waterfall, it would overflow the walls and flood the city. So even if you were trying to build something like a giant hydroelectric dam, there's a reason why there's a giant hydroelectric dam that is quite far away from Nevada's main strip, because there's no logical reason to have all your eggs in one basket. And it seems like they're just going smaller, where I would have started bigger. It seems like this entire chapter is just going to be here in this story. And when I see this, and I see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's assume that this is the palace, and each of these are guild halls, and each of the leaders is going to end up meeting with a different person in charge of a different guild, and this is where the rebellion of the guilds are going to come about. Either that they're going to fight against each other as guilds to be in charge, or all the guilds themselves are going to fight against the kingdom, the palace. Yeah. at this rate, you run into a problem. Oh, there is something here that makes one more thing. You do run into a problem before I jump back into the story of, since this being so zoomed in, you could easily mistake this city for just being another part of the original world, and everybody in the original world, the leaders of the original world, just did not know what was beyond a few kilometers in any direction. The only thing that argues against that is that apparently they were the only ones who survived the Nexus attack, so they did need to move to a different world just because they'd painted themselves in a corner and needed to run into new people to give them more motivation. Otherwise, the game would just boil down into a constant chase sequence against the keepers.
Gondola?
That's right, isn't it? The gondola is a sort of small boat. See, like the one over there.
Small boat.
Does she even know what a boat?
I think Losaria told me about boats before. She said they float across the top of the water.
Now, Rissa's not that young, so there really must be like no water at all in that previous world.
I see. You've come here from the west, haven't you? There are essentially no bodies of water there.
Yes.
There's a
Yes, that's it.
inconsistency here
Easy to say I'm from
that
another
you
world.
see a map of a city that is surrounded both by water and high walls. That would be a city that would imply that they're fairly hostile to outsiders. So it's weird to then be treated so nicely as just a random stranger who shows up.
All around the land. If one has a gondola, one can practically go anywhere.
Whoa, that's amazing.
Yes, indeed. Canals and guilds like ours are what makes Isunia. Oh, I should mention that guilds are groups of people who have assembled for the same purpose. The land of Isunia, you see, is governed by a council of guilds.
A council of guilds.
Well, that kills the idea that there's a monarchy.
So many new words and sights. I really am in another world.
This is getting down to the point of being like educational.
Are you at all interested in learning more?
Yeah. Yes, I am. Maisha, you're in the Order of Blade Rights, right?
Exactly. The Order of
And I'm not sure how many
Blade
different
Guild of
worlds you
Justice.
can create if they are all
There
just
is
going to
also
be
the Magus Covenant
based
Guild of
around
Resplendence. There is Escamoli,
uh,
Guild of Balance, and there is Nicola Adele, the Forbidden Guild. And finally, there is
it's a
Casa
forbidden
Solari,
guild that
of
is
Stone.
allowed to exist.
Well, Nicola Adele isn't strictly speaking a guild. At any rate, though, each of these performs their own role in order to keep the balance in this land. Our primary mission as Blade Rights is to defend the capital.
Because
with
you
spirit of
could do
strength and
Venice.
solace.
You kind of
Not
can't
as if
do
our
a
mission is
modern
anything
England.
extraordinary, though. The most we ever
You
really do is
might
dispatch the Magus
not be able to
Covenant's magic
do
life forms.
any kind of modern areas at
also
all.
assist
So
travelers
there could be
and
like a
resolve other
feudalistic
issues that
Japan, but
townspeople
probably
are
not a
facing.
modern Japan.
So long as it's within the scope determined
I
by
doubt they would
Escamoli,
bother
we
to
go
try and do
anywhere.
something
We're
Native
peacekeeping
American or
jacks of all
Mesoamerican or like
Whoa.
or South
pretty
American
cool.
in nature. They
Not
might
at
do
all.
Egypt.
We simply wish to be in the service of
Um,
this land.
You
The
could
service of
have
this
like a
land? That really is
a
cool. Maisha,
Vatican
do the
City,
other
I
guilds
guess,
work to keep the peace of the land like the Order of Blade Rights?
but
That's,
yeah.
oh,
that's probably about it. Like,
Eleanor Gloria, you're the guild marshal, so you'd better start explaining. Today's going to be different.
Wrong. You want to know why? Because you're a big dumb oaf with a nasty look in your eyes.
I was born big,
And here we have another moe young looking
Arisa,
anime
my
girl
apologies.
who
I have a sudden errand to take care of. I'll be back soon.
Alright. I wonder if it has something to do with those people over there.
I wonder if she was
It's
kicked
alright.
out of her guild. And then none of these guys show up. Are we gonna learn that they're like magically attracted to
Looks angry.
travelers?
I'd better defend myself.
People from different worlds?
It's absorbing all my arrows. It might be stronger than the one before.
Does it learn every time?
Huh?
Apologies for making you do the cleanup.
Glowing eyes.
No, I'm sorry.
Once again, you have a big
Whoa,
male
he's
character
really scowling at me.
with just
Did I make
tons
him
and tons
angry?
of armor. Which, when you have like a beast character covered in fur anyways, like you could definitely
Maisha!
leave some of this fur, some of this
Sorry
clothing
there,
off.
Aisha. I was slow to lend a hand.
So I bet this
No,
guy is her
I
boss.
should be the one apologizing if anything. I'm
And she's
always
like an
causing some sort
intern
of
or
problem
something.
or another.
Don't sweat it.
Or maybe
I'll just
he's
say hello already.
in love with her.
The name's Cetus, member of the Order of Blade Knights. You?
I'm Arisa.
Arisa's a traveler, and I was serving as her guide.
Yeah? Hope Maisha doesn't get in your way too much.
What?
They're doing the
Cetus,
very
how could you? Certainly I
anime
haven't
thing where
much
she
help
falls
yet,
down a lot
but all the same,
and is just scatterbrained.
Can't take a joke?
Cetus. Arisa, there's nothing
And this
funny
probably
about this.
translates better in Japanese.
Sorry. It's just that you two seem like such good friends.
Oh, yeah?
How to put it exactly? Cetus is always helping me in some way or another, despite the fact that I'm under Marshal.
Oh, don't sweat it.
So she is
He seems
higher
like a really scary person
than
at first,
him.
but I think that he's really kind. I shouldn't have been scared of him just because of how he looks.
Now what would be funny is if behind your back when she wasn't
Sorry for
paying
being
attention,
scared of you a second ago.
did she just go attack the little girl mage?
No, I'm not scared
character?
anymore. You seem really kind, Cetus.
Kind?
Yeah, like your voice and the way you act.
Oh, that's the second time anyone's ever said that to me.
You have a rather aggressive look in your eyes, Cetus. That's why people often get the wrong impression. But as a matter of fact, you're incredibly kind. Just the type for our Guild of Justice.
So yeah, we're getting character development of 2 new
Oh,
characters.
Cetus, I haven't embarrassed you,
But
have I?
how many new characters can they really
I'm
introduce?
going back to the guild now.
I
What about you
mean,
two?
think about it. There's
How to
there's
proceed? I
8
should report to the Marshal
important
about what just
characters,
happened, but I'm also
and
meeting
we've
with
seen
Rydo
3
soon.
more from this
If you're
world
not busy,
added.
How about tagging along, Arisa?
There was about 8
Yes, that's right.
secondary
The Order
characters
of Blade Rights is one of the
in
great sights
the
that
old
travelers
world,
come to see. Perhaps I shouldn't refer to it as
which I imagine we'll
saints, though.
forget all
How
about.
it, Arisa?
Well, if you two don't mind, I'd love to go.
Good. Let's head back to headquarters then. Anything happens on the way back, I'll handle it. Welcome, Arisa.
There's a
The land of guilds and shimmering dew.
question certainly as far as
Apologies, Cetus. I said that to her just a bit ago.
like why would you build a city on the water if water elementals
I'm glad I
seem
met
to
such
come out
great
of the water
people.
and attack people?
If I stick with Maisha and Cetus, I'll learn all about Asunia.
I guess the implication is they built the city
Then I should be able to
and
find
then
my
the
way back to
monsters started
Losaria.
showing up.
Wait for me, Losaria.
Yeah, and they're gonna have to mention Losaria a lot of times just to make us remember who she is. You're kind of in this problem situation where you can't really have Lucaria show up and try some kind of plot or do anything, at least at the beginning here. Otherwise it's just going to be a repeat of chapter 1. And if Lucaria was in this world, she would probably just do the Morning Star thing again and spawn more shadows.
Certainly sounds impressive.
Yeah, Losaria's super strong, and she's super nice. So I have to help her no matter what.
Help her? Is Losaria by chance in some sort of trouble?
Aisha, quit prying.
Ah, yes, you're right. My apologies.
You should probably tell them everything about the Keepers and everything about Nexus. Like, because
I want to save Losaria,
they've gotten
but I shouldn't have made Maisha and Cetus worry.
they've gotten a
No, really,
huge
I'm
bit
fine.
of information
I'll figure something out.
that there are Keepers that destroy all universes as far as you can tell.
As the
So
God of justice,
the idea here
surely help in
would be to
some way.
say there are these monsters called the Keepers that they eventually will show up and try to destroy your world. You all need to train and become powerful and strong of will
All right.
to try and defeat it. Even if it happens 1,000 years from now, you need to keep
Whoa,
this in the back of your
this place
mind.
is so cool. It's like it's old and new all at once.
Precisely.
This
I
looks
love
like
the
this is
interior
just
of our
a
barracks as
background
well.
that's already been used.
Oh, welcome back, Under Marshal. Cetus?
And see, now we've got another
Greetings. How are
anime
things
guy
looking?
or two.
As far as our reports say, it looks like there are 2 magical life
So we're
forms
up to
left.
5
If that's the case,
5
then I believe
people
we've already made quick work of them.
with
Are
unique
there any
faces.
reports of injuries?
There was one squad what got ambushed, but they never got scraped up a bit. All's in
And they
order,
have some
Under Marshal.
very different
That's a
accents.
relief.
Oh, and under Marshal, who's that?
I wonder if
My
this
apologies.
was
I should have introduced
gonna
her
be like a
sooner.
Romeo
She's
and
a
Juliet
traveler
type
visiting with me. Her
scenario,
name is Arisa.
where there's
It's good
kind
to
of the
meet you.
Montagues and the
Arisa.
Capulets with the
She is
guilds
certainly
that they
adorable,
never get
but
around.
She was also able to wipe out a magical life form in mere moments.
Apparently they don't have any unique name for the magical life forms.
Hey, you really got it, eh, young lady? You're some kind of archer, are you?
Still, like,
It's not every day you see a bow shaped
just
like
a
that.
huge difference
Mind
in
if I take
height.
a closer look?
Enough. Start acting like a blade right.
Yes, sir.
Cetus, I'm going to report to the Marshal. Following that comes...
Drawing up a report, turning it into Escamali. Sure. Don't forget, though, there's something missing.
Well, yes. I suppose there always is.
I'll head out. You stay here and handle the rest.
I apologize that it always turns out like this.
Don't sweat it. What'll you do, Arisa? If you don't mind, I could guide you around instead.
Are you sure I won't be in your way? Don't you have something to do now?
There's something I'd like to show you in order to help you understand Isunia better. If you don't mind, that is.
And the
Seriously?
background
I'd
music
love
here
to
is,
go.
is gonna get
Cetus,
very
if you
repetitive.
take Arisa to Magus, then her image of Isunia will surely...
They're as much a part of Isunia as anything else.
Like,
Then, well, I will meet you at Escamali. There are still other sites that I'd like to show Arisa.
it seems like there's just
Sounds
a
good.
lot of story being told
What do you
here,
say, Arisa?
but I really question to what end.
Let's go.
Before we reach Magus, there's one thing that I ought to talk to you about.
The thing
Do you know what a rose is?
I would say,
Yeah, there are a lot of them growing in the forest.
The folks were about
they
to
probably-
meet are roses, with thorns sharp as razors. Best prepare yourself.
They're kind of dangerous, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're also Esunia's rulers. Couldn't hurt for you to see them once.
See, I think
happens,
if I were
let's
the director, I would just say,
let's go there.
let's just sit on this story and see if we can, at some point for the 1-year anniversary, get a direct-to-video OVA made around Shadowverse and tell just the events of Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 in that way. And then for the 2nd anniversary, you do Chapter 3 and Chapter 4 and just so on. Because I really don't get what the point here is. Like, they're gonna tell me all this story and have me do all these fights, and I'm getting rewards for it, so I should do it, certainly. Like, I can't justify just ignoring it, but if I didn't care about the rewards, I'd 100% ignore it. It's not adding anything to the multiplayer, it's not making me better at playing the card game. It's not explaining much as far as the cards.
But different, huh?
Yeah, there are probably some cards that did center around this chapter.
But I've barely spoken at all.
I wouldn't know about anything here if I was alone. Thanks
And they
for
never
being my
fixed the
guide.
clicking sound.
Oh?
Yeah.
Not much
And
longer,
it's same
Lisa.
old background
Stay alert.
music just coming in and coming out. So is that something the magic people
What is that thing?
summoned?
That's their watchman. It's harmless enough. For now, anyway. Come on, let's go inside. I am Cetus Law.
Yeah, and this
member of the
background
Order of
art has
Blameless.
been used before
I've come
too.
to take care of today's matter.
Welcome, welcome. It couldn't have been easy dragging that big body of yours all the way out to these parts.
That guy seems kind of scary.
Take me to Eleanor Gloria. As the guild's marshal, she's obligated to explain.
Eleanor is unfortunately accompanying guests in town.
Take me to her.
Oh dear. Well, if you truly insist.
Wanna go?
There'll be no need. Stand back. I'll take this.
Eleanor Gloria.
So she's the marshal.
Cetus Law, you're always
The-
causing me some sort of trouble. I don't have time for
Just
this, you know.
incredibly short
You
character,
and the Magus Covenant,
like Luna,
you
and
experiment with magical
just
life
really,
forms.
really
You
young
fail,
looking.
And then you have the gall to let those things escape. You've gone too far. Today, and I mean today, you turn yourself into Escamali.
So they summoned the
Even if
life
I
forms.
win, the most they do is curtly send me back. Have you ever tried using that head of yours? I swear. You there?
Who, me?
And they even have a rose in her hair to
That figures.
kind of make that
Where'd you
implication.
crawl out of anyway? And what's going on with those clothes of yours? And that bow?
Turn yourself
There is
in,
something, I guess, kind of
Eleanor
funny about a really young and small
Didn't I tell
character
you were a
wearing
big oaf with
a
nasty eyes?
giant
Why are you
magician's robe.
condescending
I
to
kind of
me?
like that idea. But I think you could lose the bow. I think you could
just
lose the
don't
belt.
learn, do you,
I think you
Cetus
could
Law?
probably lose
Gloria
the
for the ones
extra
who never learn.
parts of the
Stand
boots and
back,
make the
Orisa.
skirt lower.
No, it's fine.
If we were
This
to,
is between us and them. Your help's nothing we...
like, if her knees are
Show me
bent
the town,
here,
Cetus. I won't
and
repay you.
the end of these boots
Okay,
are
but
up
don't
here,
bite off more than you can chew.
it kind of
Then
implies that
business.
the skirt is rather
Okay.
short,
I don't want to hurt anybody, so don't get violent,
which
okay?
I guess is kind of a case. I think just anatomically they've got really, really long thighs in the way that they're drawn.
wooden, but it houses magical power. A strange bow indeed.
My arrows won't reach. How
Was it
come?
made of wood? I guess
Still.
that makes sense.
Watch out, Arisa!
I think, though,
That's all
you
for
would
today.
probably want to cut down on the coat a little bit. Like,
I'm the cosmic flower. Respect me lots, reject me not.
Eleanor, you have a duty.
Get lost for today. I'm too busy to keep you nitwits occupied. Most of the time, those dissipate within a few hours anyway. No one's been hurt, so don't get bent out of shape. Adios!
I don't know if she's actually attacking them or just teleporting them.
My, what a bunch of knuckleheads. What would I have to eat to be like you?
That's a funny
Rocks?
word to
Talk
translate from
about a real
Japanese.
head scratcher. Well, whatever. I'm off to see Isabel then.
And she mentions Isabel, which I imagine Isabel in her alchemy would probably get along fairly well with a magician. You know, it might be funny if the story goes in a route where, like, each of the characters become the leaders of one of these guilds, and they just kind of take over, or were the destined ones to take over. Although then at a certain point that is just gonna boil down to they're always gonna be the destined ones in every world.
No, I think I'm fine. What about you, Cetus?
But they are in kind of a weird position at the moment because they are kind of just outsiders observing.
That woman's really
They need to
strong,
be
though, huh?
written in such a way so that they have a reason to care more than just, oh, this is interesting, let's investigate it, but then our main goal is to defeat Nexus and we really don't care about the internal squabbling of some other world's politics.
She doesn't know how to listen. It's not rare for her experiments with magical life forms to throw the town into chaos. She can be a real handful.
So not everyone in a guild is nice.
We've got our goals and she's got her goals. The other guilds, of course, are no different. There's more than one path through Isunia. It's a land that gets by through the collision and communication of the 4 guilds and one.
Gets by through communication. That sounds really nice.
Nice, huh?
Yeah. Communication means that people are working together, right? I just thought that was nice.
Doesn't always mean that.
Yeah, I have to agree. I love this land. I love the way it all comes together. That's why I want to protect it.
One kind of assumes that his people didn't originate from this area.
Let's move on to
Otherwise you
Escamali
would
next.
see
Mind
more
if I
of
keep the
his
tour
type of
going?
people around.
Yeah, that'd be...
Unless, of course, he's actually a human and the magician just transformed her.
Wait,
It transformed him into a
What's the
monster.
it's, just, my
Or
friend.
something else transformed
my
her.
partner.
Oh, you should go then.
Really? Are you sure? But you were in the middle of showing me around.
I'm heading to Escamali now. Once Maisha and I submit the report, we'll go back to the guild. I really owe you one from back there. You should stop by later.
All right. Thank you. Erica. That was really Erica, wasn't it? Where could she have gone?
I've seen that you wield the true blade. Still, even if you wield it, will the people understand its meaning?
I'm not so sure, but even so.
It's her.
A different story is being hinted at
That
here.
voice.
Erica! Oh, good, it's you.
So you're here in this world too.
Yeah.
was thinking maybe Erica had been hypnotized by this guy.
Alone. Is that right?
You should come with me, Erica. I met a bunch of really nice people called the Order of Blade Rights. So, who is that person, Erica?
That's none of your concern.
Now he's got like an evil aura around him.
He's as strong as Eleanor. No, maybe even stronger. Tell me who you are.
There's a name people call me, but I don't use it myself.
Get back from Erica, or else I'll...
Arisa, please stop.
Erica?
I won't allow you to turn your bow against this man.
But he has such a scary look in his eyes.
If what I say won't get through to you, then maybe this will.
Yep, this is where we've hit a point again where it's just like they had to figure out a way to make people fight each other. And now that they don't have shades as an excuse, if they want you to fight against somebody that you've already would have partnered together, you have to try to ride around that, which inherently undermines the idea that they've even taken a few steps together to actually be a cohesive working team.
What just happened?
That's enough. You two are partners. Don't hurt her much, or you'll hurt yourself.
Again, weird voice dialogue.
Arisa,
dialect.
I have my own path to walk.
Wait, Erica!
Please don't approach me again.
Erica! She's gone.
There's
Erica's here.
something weird also, I would say, about Erica choosing to run off with a man.
They might be as worried as I am.
It kind of feels like they might conveniently forget that she was
town is so big.
implied heavily to be in love with the princess.
Aren't you that girl from earlier?
Heard a big commotion over here, so I came running. Something happened?
I don't know. What should I say to him?
Well, let us know if you change your mind. As the Guild of Justice, we can surely help in some way.
I'm gonna tell them the truth, and then see what we should do. Can I go back to the guild with you? And then explain things there?
You bet you can. Let's get back then.
Alright.
Yeah, it feels like they,
help each other out.
in localizing it to English, didn't pay a good enough voice actor, director, someone to find the right voices for the right characters. I'd kind of like to just see if we could change it and see what it sounds like in Japanese. But I probably should do that off screen since this is going to go really long if that's the case. Plus, I don't think I can actually do it.
I really tell you.
Let's see.
Those Magus folks don't make a whit of sense to me.
Yeah, you can't change any of that from this menu. You have to go back to the main menu.
For all the brains they got, they always act like a bunch of fools.
Eleanor was just like, oh, wow!
She's got magic like you wouldn't believe. If only she'd use it right.
I wanted to ask, but is there anyone like Eleanor in the Blade Rights?
You bet your bow there is. The Marshal, but he's still recuperating. His health's not so good, you see. So the Under-Marshal's been calling the shots for a while now.
Oh, I see.
Wouldn't it be funny if it turned out the Marshal was dead and the Under Marshal had killed him?
Don't worry. It's not the same
and she was pretending like he was still alive.
The Under Marshal can't use blades or magic, but her heart is good.
Maisha does have a good heart, doesn't she? She really seemed to care about me.
It's gonna feel really strange when we play as a different character, and we get a completely different perspective of the Blade Rights.
To see why Cetus fell for her so hard. especially when you consider how they met.
At least they've got some different background music.
Hey, no need to say it so loud. Sorry, but you'll need to keep that a secret.
Oh, all right. Got it. Cetus likes Maisha? Wow! I never would have imagined.
Does it help a collectible card game to have a romance section? Or a romance plot?
And speak of the devil.
Maybe. I mean, it's trying something different.
Thanks for everything, Maisha.
This looks exactly like the daughter of Dragspear. Not exactly like, but very similar.
Hey, you're as scrawny as ever, I see.
I think these guys probably were pre-bought assets, or
we love how kind she is, and so does everyone else in town.
Or they were just not drawn as well
really
with as much care.
You
But their outfits also go to point out that important characters get ridiculous amounts of decoration and design in their outfits, and then normal people get a realistic level of decoration and design in their outfits.
I didn't get the seal of anyone involved, and Eskamali is going to have to sort it out.
Classic Magus.
I know. Where are you off to?
Seems like a young lady got dragged into something, so I figured I'd hear her out back at the guild.
I see. Mind if I take things from here, then?
Not one bit. We'll get back to patrol. Later, miss.
Okay, see you.
Now then, Maisha.
Ah, yes, I beg your pardon,
Yeah,
everyone.
these are very reasonable outfits.
Thank you very much for
So
your
somebody, at least in the Shadowverse animation team, knows how to
Apologies, Cetus.
animate reasonably.
And thank you
But
very
clearly
much.
they're not in charge of the main designs.
Don't sweat it.
Ah, Arisa, was everything all right with your friend?
About that.
You can fill us in at the guild. Let's go.
They're stretching things out a lot when really she should have
Was accompanied by
just
a man wearing black garments and an eye patch.
it should have just faded out and faded back to this
And he
scene
was super,
several
super scary.
sentences ago.
Ooh, you're lucky to be back in one piece.
And they could have seeded the idea that Maisha's really nice and talked about
I
the
should
under
elucidate further.
talk about the
man you
marshal
encountered was
later.
likely an opponent far more dangerous than Eleanor Gloria. He is Leod Black, the Marshal of Counter Solari, the Lord of Shadows, the very darkness lurking within this land. He is an assassin who tears through the night, robbing life. He is a rebel who aims to turn this land's order to chaos.
But then why is Erica?
And that I cannot say. But to think that she would be affiliated with Counter Solari.
Their minds are a mystery. No one can figure them out. The problem's what we should do, though. Rules say to stay away from Counter Solari. As things stand, we can't act.
Indeed, that is true.
I'm sorry, you guys.
Who would follow that
This is my
rule
fault,
if they
isn't
are
it?
really wandering around
No,
assassinating
Arisa,
people?
you aren't to blame.
They're part
Unless-
of Asunia too. It's Asunia's problem to take care of. Our problem to take care of.
Unless they're like assassinating people who are about to do something super evil, or have secretly done something evil.
No easy way to interact with Counter Solari. Even if someone in Counter Solari were to take the life of a common person, the most we would be able to do is search for the culprit. And acts of combat against the culprit are explicitly forbidden. If we were to ignore those prohibitions, we would incur harsh punishment from Eskamali. It's
So,
never used to discuss things
It
with
seems
members
like
of Counter Solari.
Eskamali's really in charge.
Encounter one and combat is certain. We're therefore unable to lend you our assistance at this time.
Oh, okay then.
So each guild is going to try to keep their hands clean
However,
and
I must say there is
send out one
thing
of
that
the
can be done.
main leaders to attack the other guilds.
Have the right to security. If any harm comes to the guild, then the guild is permitted to intervene against the one causing harm. If we were to exercise this right to security, Then we will be able to assist you in small-scale combat, specifically a battle in which no life is taken.
So what you're saying is,
I've been rather long-winded, haven't I? My
See,
apologies.
she does
Allow me, then, to
kind of
speak as
seem
straightforwardly as possible.
conniving and manipulative.
yeah?
Do you not wish to become a member of the Order of Blade Rights?
Huh?
That's a weird choice. Yeah, if each one of these stages, I guess they're being called stages, although in a previous section they're being called something else. Interesting, also, there was no battle in that one. If each one of these stages came out like one a month, that really wouldn't work either, though, because it would just be weird. You would forget what was going on, and people wouldn't be bothered to go back and play them.
That smile that didn't match them. She was there alone.
This is a new background.
She was all by herself and lonely, so I spoke to her. That was all.
But these backgrounds don't work as play fields.
I don't know where to begin.
And you don't get to use them, I think, as backgrounds on the main menu either. So it's kind of a waste of budget to draw something this detailed, or buy something this detailed.
At last, I realized how miserable I'd been. A drop of sweat trickled down my fur. What was I afraid of? Who are you? Where'd you come from?
My name is Maisha LaForge. Where I came from escapes me.
I wonder if you could have a section like this, where you got the visual novel element, just play as you're loading the next game.
I don't know.
That would be the easiest way to integrate it into actual multiplayer, which is the main focus of any kind of collectible card game. It kind of has to be.
They were fire.
But
it was almost as if I'd come down with some
that would almost certainly irritate most people, and you would have to have a checkbox or something that says skip this or always skip, or don't show. This would be like a great excuse and way to hide a very long load to find a network game, but
if I may wish for such a thing,
Shadowverse doesn't have that problem. It only takes at most a minute on average to find a match.
Cetus.
If this could like play in the background as the playfield as you're playing, that wouldn't work either, because you couldn't really focus.
Once they finally matched, I realized I'd wanted to save her.
So we have another amnesia plot.
Cetus, why am I?
Because you're the best for the job. I'm just not the type to lead other people.
But me as Undermarshal, though? I doubt I can even unsheath the Marshal's sword. I'm surely not...
So, yeah, when I'm thinking about the gacha game that I play on my phone, Destiny Child, they add story, like 8 to 12 scenes per month that are all around the hype and all around the focus of what's going on right at that point. And if you miss that event for that month, then you kind of can't see the story, or you probably could see the story, but you'd have to seek it out from a replay option that's hidden deep amongst many sub-menus.
But by no means.
But the main story in Destiny Child,
some people refuse to take her seriously,
you
saying she was
don't really have to go through anywhere as much talk.
And Counter Solari's
Or
secret maneuvers began
maybe you do go by about the same amount of talk in the main story, but once you finish the main story, they don't really add a lot very often to the main story. And I would say the story in Destiny Child and its main story element is better written for the one time that you see it, and then you never see it again and quickly forget it. Whereas right now, since I'm talking about a completely different game,
where did she come from? And where is she going? I don't know.
It's,
and I can't say I care.
I would say half a step better than what we had in Chapter 2, but just kind of barely half a step. And it's still just going on forever.
I'll live up to your expectations. Wait and see.
Oh, I know. I know you'll act in the name of justice.
Now it seems like this flashback is going to be the thing that just ends this chapter. Nope, we still got more to go. But it's been, well, I'd say about an hour, and we're at Chapter 9, and before we were getting about 14 chapters, so it seems like we may get 14 chapters again.
Maisha, what are
I guess one of the things to say about Destiny Child's gameplay mechanic versus this is that you can speed up the gameplay and automate the gameplay in Destiny Child. That's why I love it, by 3 times. So you can beat a level and basically guarantee victory in less than a minute. Whereas if I was actually playing the card game and not just skipping the battles right now, it would be 20 minutes to an hour between each bit of story, long enough that I probably wouldn't even remember the story at all, or I'd at least forgotten some of the story from the previous chapter.
Wish to have you. What happens from there is dependent on your wishes. If you would join us,
I wonder if joining the guilds is some kind of like brainwashing.
wish to be in service of this land.
Maybe joining causes you to be brainwashed or becomes a hive mind of some sort.
It's cause the under marshal such a charmer, we're able to give this land our all.
I really like you guys.
They do mention land,
really respect you. So if I could join, I'd love to.
which would imply or be interesting to Orisa. Again, they're just not animating her lips
Sorry
at all.
I didn't say anything sooner. I just thought that no one would believe me if I said anything.
It almost implies that maybe the original story was just following
I came here from
following Orisa, and then they added stories from other for the other leaders later.
To another world. I was chasing after her and I ended up here. So I can't be one of your members. If Losaria isn't in this world, if she didn't come here too, then I'll have to go to another world.
Ah, I see.
I know it has to sound crazy, but it's true. I'm really sorry.
There is no need to apologize, Orisa.
It'd be funny if it turned out she was Orisa, she was Losaria in another body.
Certainly it pains me to know that we'll part, but that's hardly a reason not to join forces. It may have been coincidence that brought us together, but until the day when we must
now we've got
eventually
some new
part,
background
I see no issue with
sounds.
remaining in each other's company.
But that would be like I'm using you guys.
No one would be using anyone. We would be joining forces, working in union.
I owe you one, kid. All I want is to pay you back.
Maisha. Cetus.
Please forgive me, Orisa, but I'm going to
At a
ask
certain
once
point, I would have.
Would you please join the Order of Blade Rights?
They might as well have just never had her lips moving.
Yes, I will.
How wonderful careful in that case.
Under Marshal, Cetus, you there?
Is something amiss?
Murder. Looks like the work of Counter Solari.
Counter Solari? That means that...
Now, of all times.
Maisha!
Now,
Sorry,
Erica was an assassin, so it would make sense
Can I go with you? I'm
that
worried about Erica, and we're partners now.
that she would join with the assassins,
You're right.
particularly if it turns out that
Let's head out.
Okay.
the real guild that's in charge is, what was that, the Esteralia? I wouldn't be surprised if they're getting their orders directly from them. Also, those assassins look very much outfitted like the Thieves Guild from Skyrim. So there definitely seems like there's a decent amount of stuff here that's very heavily borrowing, if not directly stealing from other concepts. It'll be interesting to see what happens in Urias' story,
What's the situation?
because he probably will just wander around trying to fight people.
We discovered a body while out on a patrol. The head had been sliced clean off, and judging from the wounds, it's likely the work of Counter Solari. And, Under Marshal, this body looks like a fresh kill.
Counter Solari sounds like that's a kind of anti-sun in the name.
Please excuse my lateness.
Maisha, that cut, what happened to you?
I crossed paths with a peculiar character, but I'm all right. I can still move.
Don't push yourself too hard.
I won't. So now, how do we proceed?
This is
Yeah,
horrible.
Orisa has just become like the background observer for this other tale being told.
You in charge here.
All right then.
Which,
Thank you very much.
honestly, at a certain point,
Is this your first time seeing anything like
they
this?
should probably have just weakened all the characters when they teleported in,
Are
and
you sure you'll be all right?
and then Orisa would have just said,
I'll be fine.
"Take my bow. You have to
Solari
fight
does
these
awful
monsters."
things, huh? Even though they're a guild, just like the Blade Rights.
Or you could have had the
They're
main leader
assassins,
characters
degenerates.
show up way late
There
into
were
the
once
story,
two sides to
and
the
then they
Blade
would have
Rights.
just
Suncore, which provided guidance to the people, and Mooncore, which vanquished evil.
Yep.
Suncore guided the people, and Mooncore sought out evil. Sun protected the people with kindness, and Moon protected them with strength. But some mishap split the two apart.
Yep.
Mishap?
I don't know the details, but they say it had something to do with a keeper.
Keeper? Does he mean Nexus?
Sun rose, but Moon sank into the darkness, turning into a bunch of degenerates who swore never to worship the sun. That's when they started calling themselves Counter Solari.
Yeah, I figured it.
So the Order of Blade Rights and Counter Solari used to be one guild.
Yes. Those days are long past, but the resentment is still alive and well. That's why we're not supposed to interact with them.
And really, the only way you fix this even slightly,
Why doesn't everybody get together and stop them?
it would be to just not break up the groups.
And one, keep the balance of this land.
Like,
And if the Order of Blade Rights and Counter Solari were to fight things out, the Magus Covenant would have their way in the meantime. They think we're a bunch of pests, mucking up their flower bed. They'd love to have us out of the picture.
yeah, I would just
If
keep
we,
all
Counter
the
Solari,
other
and
characters
Magus, we're all going at it.
together as a group,
Eskimo
or I'd
wouldn't
just
just
have
sit
all
back
the
and watch.
leaders
The four
not
guilds would harm each other,
not appear at
consume
all.
each other.
I might even go with
And if
something
we
a little
were
bit
to wear
creative and
ourselves
have them
out,
all merge
we'd
into
have
one
no way
body,
to keep Nicola
and then
Adele in check.
what you could do is they would just transform from Arissa to like Luna to Isabella to Erica. That would solve kind of everything in one easy move. Is just everybody is trapped in the same body due to some accident when they travel to the new world.
All of the other members are now out searching.
Then you can just tell one linear, better written story.
Something is amiss here, Cetus.
Because at a certain point here, I am going to have to just get so extremely critical and just assume that the writers for Shadowverse just think that they are such geniuses at writing stories where 8 members are going through 8 parallel stories that all are equally worthwhile hearing and merged together for a good reason.
Look out!
Cetus, are you hurt?
I can't even be too critical on this outfit. It's kind of fairly well designed. You lose a belt again, just lose the leg belts. I'm not sure if assassins or thieves need feathers on their shoulders.
Yeah. Here goes.
Oh, there's a girl version too, and a gym version would not make sense as an assassin, and kind of an unfair situation here where she's got like throwing knives on her leg, but then her belly is exposed when everybody else is fully armored. And there's a little bit of cleavage there. Again, where I would expect assassins or people that are moving in shadow to be fully covered. Probably not have super long hair coming out the front of your hood. But it's not a terrible assassin outfit. That's typically what you would expect. I'm a little surprised it's not more Japanese assassin, like ninja style. It's a little weird they don't have like face coverings.
That is all.
Maisha, permission to detain.
In accordance with our right to security, permission granted.
The false sun shall not rise.
So they all do seem like they're brainwashed of some sort.
They took their own lives.
Yeah, that's a little extreme.
No, this is awful.
What was going through their heads? And what are we going to do with these bodies, Maisha?
In circumstances such as these, there's nothing we can do. We must simply report to Eskamali and await decision. Would you mind, Cetus?
Understood.
Of course, them
Why? What's going on?
claiming that the people killed themselves is going to be suspicious.
This land's balance, and I've been taught the same. But if I'm to speak my mind honestly, I don't believe that's true.
What would be nice is if this turned out to be a situation where there is a keeper pretending there's a keeper pretending to just be an average human, and they are acting very secretively and nefariously.
They steal weapons from the other guilds to build up their offense, and they're secretly aiming to take command of the capital.
So, if it turned out that she was a keeper, that would be an interesting twist.
But Eskamali has its rules, and most of the members think the same way as Cetus. They believe that Countess Solari
Of course,
helps keep the balance.
I don't know how they're going to throw in any other characters that are going to potentially have lost their memories.
Whose imagination has gotten carried away.
Unless this turns out that there's multiple keepers in this world. But it does make a nice precedent where they don't have to have a morning star in every world and some super powerful magical creature in every world.
I can't even take it from its sheath. I lack the power to even use.
I can't unsheath it. I can't even take it from its sheath.
Maisha.
Repetitive translation.
No matter how weak or skittish I might be, I don't want harm to come to this land.
I know how you feel.
Would have been better to translate that as I can't wield it. I can't even take it from its sheath.
Maisha, isn't there anything I can do?
What?
Erica? Erica, please wait.
Follow her, Arisa. We'll be fine.
I'm sorry. I'll help you, Maisha. I really will.
Yeah, I think what we're probably going to end up here is with just a to be continued again. I don't even know if we're going to get a animation that plays at the end of each time. If it'd be better if they didn't do that, frankly. That was a waste of their budget.
You're one of them.
Who are you?
He looks exactly like the other guy.
She's a partner of mine. Where is she?
Partner?
Yeah, a partner. Maybe that's not what Erica's thinking, but it's what I'm thinking.
If that is the case, why would you be acting with them?
Because the Blade Rights are all good people.
Idiot!
Hey, what are you doing?
You don't know a thing. Your eyes have been blinded by the false sun.
Don't know a thing?
What's there to say? You're eliminated.
Why? Why do you guys always do such horrible things?
They don't seem to like to talk
That
much.
archery isn't from this world. You really are with her.
Stop! Quit doing this already!
Yeah, and we're back to just kind of pointless dialogue.
We've been prepared since the age of our forebears. New glory for the true moon!
I'm kind of questioning whether there actually is a day-night cycle in this world.
Life is too important.
Like, all
for
we've
that.
seen is
How can you just take it
bright
and throw it away
backgrounds.
like it's nothing?
But I wouldn't be surprised if that's...
As Countess Solari continue their assassinations and machinations,
that's not
they steal
surprising,
weapons
really.
from the other guilds to build up their offense, and they're secretly aiming to take command of the capital.
No, there's no way. They can't. I want to chase after Nexus, and I want to help Losaria, but I can't just stand by. while
There's
this land
definitely
is in
a lot
danger.
of thoughts here that they could be killing themselves and then awakening in some kind of
To want to help.
paradise or underworld that
I'm gonna search
actually
for Erica.
is
I want to talk to her one more
like
time.
proven to exist in this
She's a good
world.
person. I'm sure that if I talk with her,
Or this
she'll-
whole thing could just
she'll
be
see
a
that you can't
digital
destroy what's really important.
recreation, which that would be an interesting twist, but I don't think either of those twists are really going to happen. We really haven't been given much of any twists, if any twist at all, in the story. So it's very questionable
Very well then, Leod. Take care of yourself.
what's going to happen when we play Erica's story that
Sure.
that's somehow going to explain
Erica,
Counter Solari's
have this.
perspective.
Take care of your own business for now.
Now we had a frame drop again, loading just a text.
Arisa, why are you here?
I'm here to stop Counter Solari from hurting anyone else. Me and the people in the Order of Blade Rights are...
We might have worked together at one point. I might have been able to call you a partner. If you're going to work with them, though, things won't be the same.
Yeah, far too many
please listen to
situations
me.
where people should just
What do you
sit
want me to
down and have a
listen to?
conversation.
You're abetting them. That says more than enough.
Abetting? But they're good people, so I just wanted to help them.
Idiocy. You don't understand a thing, Orisa.
No, that's not true. Maisha and Cetus and everyone else in the Order of Bladerights, they really care about this land. Everyone in the Order of Bladerights, every last person, they're all good people.
Apparently there's only 4 of them.
Why are you with
Or 5 of them.
Erica? They're the scary ones, taking lives and throwing their own lives away. Why are you with people like that, Erica?
There wouldn't be any point in explaining to you now. So I'm going to remove you before you become an obstacle.
No. No, I don't want to fight with you, Erica.
Then stand still. I don't want to get hurt any more than you do.
So it would be interesting if these two fought and then that just teleported them away from each other in the same world, or it teleported them to different worlds. And Orisa and Erica are like the only 2 people in this world, and we're gonna get completely different stories for the other characters.
And so have I.
This isn't right.
Would you believe me, even if I were to tell you of all of the misdeeds of the Order of Bladerights?
We simply wish to be in service of this land.
I love this land. I love the way it all comes together. That's why I want to protect it.
It's cause the Undermarshal such a charmer, we're able to give this land our all.
So,
No, I don't believe you.
are they some kind of gang? Are they some kind of totalitarian fascist group? And we saw them with the civilians, and they seem to be happy with them.
Why indeed? I don't believe what you're saying either. How could I ever believe you? It was because of you that we were able to defeat Nexus. I'm grateful to you, and I even respect you. But even so, no. Precisely for that reason, I have to stop you here. You'd be heartbroken if you knew it all. So now...
See, really this all is going to just boil down to them realizing, hey, when we're in a different world, we should just stay out of it. Stay out of the politics of the world, and we should just be unbiased observers at best. Like, all they should really be focused on is finding a keeper and killing a keeper, or finding Larissa. Like, they should just focus on their goals, and if they can't find a keeper, and if it doesn't look like the world is actually being attacked by a keeper, then they should just probably try and figure out how to cross over.
Their hearts are distant.
Now we have like a narrator talking to us.
But simply vie for the same throne. Fate is like the water that flows. Human wills are like tree leaves at the mercy of the wind, fluttering between hope and despair. A power beyond human understanding casts fate into disarray, and accursed fortunes manifest.
So yeah, this is way better than just
Thus came the time of war.
This would be the way you would do this instead of having somebody animate the summoning.
What do the guided ones see beyond a heartless war?
So yeah, this is just a prelude to a war that's coming. Okay, well, I kind of get it. See how it is labeled as Chapter 13 here. Erica would be Chapter 1, and then when you come back to this point, these are called story selections, which don't inherently on this screen tell you chapter that this was Chapter 3, but when you come back to the main menu, you will see an advertisement, new story, Chapter 9 through 14, which either is a misunderstanding by my part to say that episode 9 here just got chapter 9 through 14. Or, after I beat Invasion of the World Reaver, then a chapter 10 will unlock, and a chapter 11, a chapter 12, chapter 13, chapter 14. Or that will happen just naturally over the course of several months. Yeah. Not really a lot more to say other than I guess at some point a Morningstar type gate has to appear for them to transfer to yet another world. So all the leaders might just be trapped in the world as it is until a keeper shows itself and reveals itself, which does inherently mean that you will just be locked into a story regardless. And if these characters are supposed to be somewhat related to the events of what we have seen, I don't really feel like that's happened yet. But it also might be that a lot of these cards are from future parts of the story. Also, I'm gonna run out of excuses fairly quickly to open packs, because I don't think I'll be getting any more tickets on the daily to open a pack, and I don't think I really should use the gold, so we'll just have to do this until we can no longer do this. Yeah, there was definitely a lot of story though in that chapter that I was not caring about. I mean, they've barely succeeded in making me care about the main leader characters to then really have the main leader character of Orisa really just be a background character to a new story is hard to follow, and not something you want. Not something I've really seen in animes either, where like you just don't really do that. You have at least a few people that always show up and are fan favorites, and they're the main focus. So what did we get? We got a Stalwart Featherfolk. If any allied amulets are in play, restore X defense to your leader. X equals the number of allied amulets in play, which could be 4 at most. That is quite a different image there. And then we've got Prismaplum Bird. Last words, randomly summon a Summon Pegasus or Pinion Prayer. What is a Summon Pegasus? It's a amulet with a cooldown of 4 that summons a Pegasus. What's a Pegasus? It's a 5-point follower for 5/3 that evolves to a 7/5. Or we can see it here. Yeah, let's skip over the audio since it's all in Japanese. And then Pinion Prayer is a 2/2 countdown to last words, summon a Holy Falcon. Holy Falcon is a 2/1 that evolves to a 4/3. We got 2 of those. And then we have Priestess of Forsyth. If another allied follower with ward is in play, destroy an enemy follower, otherwise gain ward. Which I guess if you were going to play a ward deck, that probably is useful. This is a Havencraft card, so that might work. I think I have found some cards that represent the equivalent of other character class cards, because I was wondering definitely about that, whether there would be a 1 mana, 1 attack, 1 health style of card for each class of card. Somewhat there kind of is. There's probably just a neutral one that is a 1 mana, 1 attack, 1 health, but also I think I've found a couple that have the same effect for the same cost for the same thing, but they are not neutral type. This one just draws a card when it dies as a follower, the Winged Courier. Next we have Soul Box. If there are any allied amulets in play, evolve this follower. The 5/4 that potentially evolves into a 7/6. And you typically call this a mimic, and it is artistically a different way to draw a mimic. So I have to kind of applaud that. Next we have Pure Song Priest. Accelerate for 1, restore 1 defense to your leader. If an allied follower with ward is in play, draw a card. Fanfare, if you summon it regularly, you restore 4 defense to all allies, which includes your leader, for 6 mana. Too bright here. And in this case, this priest seems like he's wearing a robe here, and then when you evolve him, he seems like he's fairly shirtless here with crystals on his stomach or hanging from a necklace or something. Which I don't mind the men getting scantily clad, but let's be honest, there is a certain level of that not happening with the women for probably family friendliness or censorship reasons. Then we got Coffin of the Unknown Soul, countdown 1, fanfare, burial rite. If draw a card and add X to name as countdown, X equals half the original cost of the follower destroyed by burial rite rendered down. Last word, summon a copy of the follower destroyed by burial rite. So this is an interesting idea in the sense that if you do the burial rite, which is you discard a follower in your hand and destroy it, then you can summon it later. Maybe it also removes the abilities. It says it removes the effects, except those that change attack and defense. A lot of the key phrases here do not translate to English very well, and I've noticed in playing the cards. So, yeah. And then I guess the next question would be, did that actually accomplish us anything, or would it accomplish us anything? And I think kind of the answer is no. Like, slowly I'll be making progress in the leveling up of each leader's ability and their craft, but there's not much else going on. Yeah. There's nothing else, I think, as far as the story that gets rewarded. Well, there is stuff with the single player. And I guess it is also worth mentioning that that tournament ended that they were having, so I'm not getting free entries on that anymore. There could be a case, and I'll just have to keep my eyes out on this while I'm still playing the single player stuff, but there definitely could be a case where we just realize that not a lot happens with Shadowverse in the long run, and that might become a bit of an issue. Still don't have any different leaders. I think you have to buy them all. So all I think I've been able to unlock are some flares, and let's see, were any of those like main story flares that were new? I don't know, really. I'm not sure any of these flares are new. And it's not like the flares really do anything. It is really a waste of animation. And then we've got some new emblems, and at least we recognize these emblems, where there's still a fairly large number of ones that represent cards that I don't recognize on the first observation. And then there are definitely, I think, some that are from either new cards or at this point, these are from an anime tie-in for sure. And I had set one of these as an emblem and I just found it distracting visually. So I probably will never even bother to change the emblem. I have a very low number of wins in ranked matches, but this does tell me that Havencraft is my most successful ranked matches game, so I'll take that bit of information. And yeah, I'm really just meandering at this point. There's nothing more to say. There, I would say, is a 50-50 chance when we get back to the next recording that this will be done. Like Leaders, the first part of Leaders 1 of 8 will be done. And if we find out, or if I just discover that it's too much time, it's too difficult, that's kind of more is the better, because then that just does allow me to particularly ignore all of that and just instead go through all the story, which frankly at this point I probably should just ignore all of it and go through the story, because it would just be so much more efficient for time. But let's see if I can make that decision. You get gold, and is it just gold? Gold, then gold, then gold, then what did that one say? Said received. I thought it said recycled. Gold and gold. Okay, so it's just gold, whereas the rewards previously were vials and packs and other things. If it's just gold, I think I probably will. I can make that decision. I don't think I will. I'll give it one try, but I think what we're gonna do is I'll try this to get all these games won. If I can't pull it off, or if it just takes too long, or even if it just takes an average amount of time, I think I'll probably just go through the story here in an episode, then go through the story here, go through the story here, and just continue down that route and try to accelerate this experience so it doesn't end up taking me potentially 3 weeks to get through all this story. Well, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.